Hi, 7th grade. Today's lesson is for Wednesday, March 18th, and we're still working in the What Do You Expect unit. Today we're going to be doing lesson 3.3, and it's analyzing a game. We're going to be working with dice rolls, so the sum of rolling 2 number cubes or 6-sided dice, and that's on page 54 of your textbook. We're also going to be working, we'll do a gotta check, and that will be problem 3.3. And our gotta check will be B6, and that's going to be on page 55. Also, just as a preview, your homework is going to be page 61, numbers 9 to 13, and then also page 65, numbers 33 to 36. You're also going to do your bell ringer right along with your homework, and so your bell ringer and 3 sentences will be page 64, and that will be number 26A. You have 2 ways that you can do your homework. You can either do your homework written in your notebook and then just scan or take a picture and attach it to your Google Classroom assignment, or you can also do your homework in a Google Doc. If you do your homework in a Google Doc, you'll need to use the equation editor. So that's in the Insert menu. You'd go to Insert and then Equation, and then you can use your screen to type an equation and do fractions and exponents and all those other cool things that are hard to do otherwise. All right, so let's get started. So today we're working on 3.3. And this is going to ask us to analyze a game using dice rolls. So we are going to be rolling 2 dice. So the first thing is, when we roll 2 dice, how do we find the number of outcomes? Well, we could do a sample space, or we know that if we roll 2 dice, we can multiply the number of outcomes on each dice together, and that will give us the total outcomes. So our dice 1 has 6 outcomes. Right? Because we can roll a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. And our second dice, or our second die, also has 6 outcomes. So what we can do is we can multiply those together to find the total number of outcomes. So the total number of rolling outcomes for 2 dice, that would be that there are 36 possible outcomes. So we can have 36 possibilities for ways that we can roll a dice, okay? Let's take a look at an example problem with this. So an example problem, and I'm looking on page 55, and I'm looking at B5. So B5 says, what is the probability of getting a sum of 4? So we're gonna call this the probability of getting a sum of 4 on 2 number cubes, okay? So, first of all, how many ways can we get a sum of 4? Well, we can have our first dice be a 1 and our second dice be a 3. We could have our first dice be a 3 and our second dice be a 1, or it's possible to roll doubles and get a 2 and a 2. So that means that there are 3 ways or 3 favorable outcomes that will get us a sum of 4. Remember, sum means addition. So we're adding these 2 dice rolls together to get a 4. Okay, so now let's figure out our probability. So our probability of a sum of 4, probability always equals the number of favorable outcomes, so there are 3 ways, and that's divided by the total number of outcomes, which in this case, there are 36 total possible outcomes. Okay, so our probability of getting a sum of 4 is 3 over 36, and if we wanted to, we could reduce that to 1 over 12. Okay, so now we're going to try the gotta check. So the gotta check is on page 55, and it is B6 in problem 3.3. So pause the video if you need to, try the gotta check, and then I'm going to give you the answer. Okay, let's try the got it check. So the got it check was B6, and it asked for the probability of getting a sum of 6. So the probability of getting a sum of 6. So first of all, we need to figure out how many ways can we roll a 6 on 2 dice. So we could roll a 1 and a 5. We could roll a 5 and a 1. We could roll a 2 and a 4. We could roll a 4 and a 2, or we could potentially get doubles and roll a 3 and a 3. So let's count them up. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ways that we could get a 6. So our probability of getting a sum of 6 is 5 over 36 total outcomes, and we can't reduce that any further because it's already a simplified fraction. Okay, that is it. So tonight when you work on your homework, you're going to be using these skills. And remember, your homework for this evening is page 61, numbers 9 to 13, and then page 65, numbers 33 to 36. You're going to do your bell ringer in 3 sentences on that homework, page 64, number 26A. Thanks so much, and I'll see you tomorrow.